Clearly, I've got to do that. Okay, everybody. This morning we have the pleasure of having Chris. And Chris, pronounce your last name for me.
It's been Americanized to Fauteux. So you can say Chris Fauteux. It's Chris Fauteux, but not too many people, including myself, can say it properly. So Chris Fauteux is fine.
Okay, gotcha. And Chris is part of Nick Ayala's team, part of Priority Life and Financial. And they are also all part of John Wetmore Agent Force in Southeast, so all part of our new family. Chris is at the senior sales manager level, and so far his highest issue paid month is $52,000. And this month, Chris, last week you were about 41. So are you trying to eclipse that highest and set a new record?
So I'm just trying to focus on like my doing the best I can for my dial day, to be honest with you, so I can book up as many appointments as possible. And I've just gotten into a little bit of a groove, feeling really comfortable in the home. So it just worked out that is translating to a really good issue paid month. So I guess I'm not really focused on a specific number for this month, but just doing the best I can. So that's just my mindset.
I like it. Well, Chris, give us a little bit of background about yourself, what you did before, how you found Family First Life.
Okay, so I was a personal trainer for 18 years, and I quit my job in 2016 just to pursue some other things because I was quite honestly capped income-wise, and I was just bored doing the same thing for that long. And I pursued some other things in like internet marketing and online sales. I had an Amazon store where we sold some like children's like toys and novelty stuff and pool floats and things like that. And then I met Nick Ayala. Actually, we worked out at the same gym, so we kind of just met each other through a group we were working out with. And we decided to work on something together completely not related to life insurance. And we were working on just another little venture. And he was just beginning Priority Life, but he didn't tell me anything about that. He just opened up an office in Boca, which is like 10 minutes from my house. And he's like, hey, Chris, if you want to do, work on our stuff and your own stuff or whatever at my office, come on in. I have, plenty of room. So I met him at the office, and there's a big sign there. It said Priority Life. So I'm like, what's going on with this? And he said, well, I have a life insurance agency I'm opening up, and we teamed with Family First Life, which is an amazing organization. And I didn't know anything about life insurance. So I started talking to him about that, and he was telling me about these people like Jermaine and others in the group that were, previously had no experience but were doing really well. And he was telling me some of the numbers they were doing, like $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 per month. And, he mentioned Amy Michelson and what she was doing for the year. And I was like, wow, I've never heard of this. So I said, well, what does it take to become licensed? And he told me. I'm like, all right, so why didn't you tell me about this? And B, like, why aren't I licensed? Like, what do I need to do? And he's like, yeah, go, try it out. So that's where, fast forward a little over a year and a half, and here I am.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And when did you actually get started with FFL?
February of 2018 is when I got my license. I started running appointments in March. I would say April was my first full-time month, and I started out slow. I would say if you were to compare the level of training that we have now, and even the number of lead sources that we have now versus when I started, it's night and day. I mean, I started and we had just had, like, Facebook had just really come on as far as Facebook vendors. So we had like one vendor to use, and they were all like these generic, state regulated final expense programs. And so, we just got hit with the objection, thought this was free or whatever, but we worked around a lot of that. So we just didn't have as much opportunity as there is now. There certainly was training videos and some next level videos, but not like there is now. There's just so much more opportunity now. But so my first full month, I did 11,000 in issue paid premium, and then I just, Nick was really great at kind of teaching me what to do, what to say, guiding me to the right training videos, and I studied. And because I made a commitment that I was just going to go all in and make this thing work no matter what. And there were some times that were frustrating for sure. And there were times where I had like 8 appointments, I remember, and I had like 7 no-shows. And I remember telling Nick this. He called me up at the end of the day, and he's like, "So how'd your day go?" He was really excited because I had booked up a bunch of appointments, like the most appointments I had booked up. And I said, "Well, I had a bunch of no-shows." He goes, "Okay, how many?" I said, 7. And he's like, "That doesn't really happen, dude." So I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. So we tweaked my phone script and, was able to significantly reduce that. But, so I overcame some rough days, and I was able my second month to do 17,000. And my third month I did 27,000. And it was like that third month where I looked at him and I said, I kind of feel like I got a hang of this, and it's really not. It's not difficult. It's just kind of sticking and being disciplined, hitting the phones hard to book up enough appointments. And really, it's like the law of large numbers. The law of averages. Like if I sit enough people, I'm going to sell enough insurance where I don't feel like I'll ever be less than $20,000 issue paid per month. And I told him that, and I haven't been since then. So averaging maybe between 30 and 40,000 issue paid per month. And so it's been a nice ride, a complete life-changing experience for the better, needless to say.
Well, that's awesome. And what type of leads are you running?
So I started off with some final expense leads in the beginning, and then some also just because of money and wanted to maximize the opportunity. I had plenty of time to dial because it was my full-time gig. So I bought some second chance mortgage leads in the beginning, and now my best days are a mixture of leads. So I would say probably 80% Facebook final expense leads, and maybe 15% mortgage protection, like fresh mortgage protection leads, and then 5% internet leads. And I just picked up another county for mortgage protection, so I'm hoping to increase the percentage of mortgage protection appointments that I run. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's
a good mix.
That.
All right.
Yeah, my best days have definitely been a mix.
Yeah, agreed. And if you don't mind taking a minute, explain, Chris, like why you think that lead diversification is good.
I think you shouldn't get married to any one lead type or any one lead vendor for sure, especially with Facebook leads. And Facebook is an animal that's really tough to tame for marketers, and they're constantly changing their algorithms. And it's tough for marketers to hammer down the numbers and to make leads consistent. So if you are completely reliant on one Facebook vendor, they might be coming in really good 1 month or even 1 week, and then all of a sudden you run dry, and then you're faced with a Monday dial day and you have 5 fresh leads to dial, and that's my worst nightmare. So I learned many months ago to diversify, to have multiple lead vendors that I'm buying from. We tell new agents, like, buy maybe 20 from one vendor, 20 from another vendor, get you a mix of some internet leads with EverQuote, and certainly some second chance leads. And now with these Mail Pro leads coming out with those they dropped like 79,000 into the CRM for those second chance Mail Pro leads. Like if you can get a hold of those, diversifying is key. So that's really the most important thing, is you want to set yourself up for success on dial day. And there's no one to blame but yourself if you don't have enough leads, because we're told that this could happen. And I think it's Dominique that said, like, we don't get married to any one lead vendor. You date them. And I call it kind of like the flavor of the month. I might have one lead vendor for Facebook that's really good, and I know that, like, I'll take advantage of it while it's really good, but with full awareness that it might change. And sure enough, it's like without fail, they change. It's almost like if you ever hired a handyman and they're really good, they come on time and they do a job and it's a really decent price, and then I have some more stuff to do. Yeah, you have them come over again, and then maybe, they're supposed to be there on Saturday, but they show up like Saturday at 10 o'clock. They show up at like 2 p.m. They're a little bit late, and they do a good job. But then the next time you want to do a job, they're like 3 days late, and then the price doubles. And that's kind of like how Facebook vendors are. You just got to not get used to any one lead vendor.
That is so true. I love it. Flavor of the month. So,
yeah.
In terms of the Facebook, let's talk about how you approach them when dialing, Chris, because I know we all get objections on the phone. So if you don't mind,
Sure.
maybe just kind of quickly going through your script and maybe, what you do to overcome those objections.
Yeah, so my tonality has changed. In the beginning, I was kind of excited, I think, especially when people agreed to meet me, to have me come out. So you could tell in my tone that I was excited, and it was just like I would get there and no one would be there. So I realize now that we're field underwriters. We're showing people options for state-regulated final expense burial coverage, burial life insurance. And so my tone is kind of I don't want to say it's monotone, but it's certainly not like too high-pitched where I'm excited. It's just kind of matter of fact. It's like, I'll answer the phone, and tonality is important. So I might say, hey, Paige, this is Chris. I'm just giving you a quick call. You reached out to us on Facebook for information on the state-regulated final expense burial life insurance, and you put your favorite hobby as cricket. You recall that? And then I'll just go in and confirm their address, but I'll let them know, so I'm not going to keep you too long. I just need to confirm a couple things real quick, and I'll let you go. And I'll confirm their address. I'll confirm their date of birth, and then I'll let them know. So if you recall reading, these are state regulated. Of course, they're also non-medical, which means no one's got to come out and take your blood, urine, or give you an exam or anything like that. What they're going to have me do instead is they have me come out and verify your ID, and then visually verify for them that you're basically alive and well. You're not like in hospice or tied down to a hospital bed or anything crazy like that. And sometimes you get a chuckle out of that. And if they laugh, I'll say, yeah, you'd be surprised what we walk into. In any case, they've got me down in your area, and I'll book a time, with them. I'll just give them some options for a couple times. I usually keep it pretty binary, like I'll give them 2 options for time-wise. And, as far as objections goes, they know why I'm coming out there. So the objection might be trying to push me off, like, tomorrow doesn't work. Okay, are you working? And I'll ask them, are you working? Are you retired? And then I'll also ask them if they were looking for the information just for them or for a spouse or partner. And that way, you avoid showing up at a house and having being one-legged where it's just one spouse. So from there, as far as objections, if they're working, I'm very assumptive. If they say that, yeah, I work, okay, what time do you get off of work? I get home about 5 o'clock. Okay, perfect. So I don't have a 5 o'clock, but I have a 6:15. So I'll put you down for that time at 6:15. Now, if I put this address, that 123 Main Street, into my GPS, will that get me there? No problem. And so it's just an assumptive, like, I'm going to drop by and you know, go over the information with you real quick.
Okay. I like that. And, well, and how about those crazy, I didn't do it, all that people get on with Facebook?
Yeah, I brush over them. I don't make any of those a big deal. I'll really go right into the I'll just go right into the script, and I think I learned that from Letitia like a long time ago. Like, if they try to pull you off script or they tell you they didn't do it, then a lot of times they're just not, they don't want to be sold, or they don't want to waste their time on the phone. And so, well, this is directly from your Facebook page, so someone did it from your Facebook page. It's possible that it was either you or it was a spouse, but in any case, my job is simple. I've got to get this information out to you, and this is, again, it's for the state-regulated final expense coverage, and I do have your favorite hobby as this, and I'll just go right into the script. I don't really pay much attention to, I didn't really do this. And if they really feel like they didn't want to do that and they hang up on you, I mean, that's just the way it is. You know, you're going to get that.
Right. Okay. And, you know,
I think an important, one last thing. I think an important thing is to, if you get defensive on the phone and you start like arguing with people about like, well, you really did this. I know you did. You had to have done this, and you carry on. It's just going to be a turnoff for someone, and it's just like you're never going to book an appointment from like an argument. So I try not to get too defensive on that. I'll just go right back into the script. And, you know, sometimes it just jars their memory, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I did do that. Whereas if you argue with them, I mean, we all have egos, so they might just be like, you know, no, I didn't do it, and hang up on you. So.
Exactly. And I don't know about you, Chris, but for me, those people, they go back in my pile for me to dial another day. I don't call them back that same day. But the next time I'm dialing for that area, I will definitely call them again, because you never know when you hit somebody on a bad day. We all have bad days. You know, I have booked many appointments, you know, a week or a couple weeks or even a couple months after the Facebook lead has come through, because I just keep trying. So I think that's an important reason why not to argue with them, because when you
such a great point.
Call them back, yeah, you don't want them to be like, oh, I remember you. You're that jerk that tried to tell me I did this. You know?
Well, some lead vendors actually will put your phone number so that they know it's your phone number calling in, and I have a couple different phone numbers I use. So that's one technique you can use. I don't think it's entirely necessarily, and some people make it a really big deal to use multiple different phone numbers, and I think if you try them at different times, like you said, or a different day, you might just catch them at a wrong day. But I had one lady in particular tell me, I know what this is about. I will call you when I'm ready. And I don't really pay much attention to that stuff. So I just like called her on a different day, and I caught her, and she invited me over to her house, and I sold her a policy. So, you know, you can't ever, and here's a good example. Today I actually we've all had this where we've booked appointments and someone has either texted back the day before or the day of the appointment saying that they didn't want you to come over, or they changed their mind, or they're not going to be there, or they had an emergency, because somehow like everybody I want to see has to go to the hospital. It's crazy how many people actually go to the hospital when they're supposed to have a final expense appointment. It's kind of laughable. But this one lady canceled on me yesterday for an appointment today because I'm running some business, because I'm going out of town tomorrow. So I showed up. I just showed up to her house, and she was sitting out front, and she's like, and I said, hey, how are you? And she said, oh, I left you a message and I canceled. And I said, you did? I didn't get any message. I just played it off. And she's like, oh, all right, you're here. Come on in. And I got her covered. It was a $78 a month policy that I got her covered in. I sold her a Rely Shield as well. So, you know, you don't pay attention. It's all like smokes. Everything's a smoke screen. You know, no one wants to really buy. They don't want to be sold, but, you know they need the coverage. They just don't want to be sold. So timing is huge.
Absolutely. And not getting into that fighting battle with them can help you get it at another time. So that's great. So, Chris, let's talk some about your in-home with Facebook, because, you know, we get objections there too. So let's kind of hear about your process, like how you set the appointment up to hopefully eliminate objections.
Yeah, I don't want to have a ton of objections, and we all get them. And kind of like the phone objections, I really don't pay much attention. I think a lot of agents get defensive, and they want to, kind of have a rebuttal for an objection that sounds slightly, without realizing it, this is a point I think most new agents should do, which is you really should record yourself in the home so you can hear your tonality, because you may not realize you're getting defensive with someone, which is a turnoff to people. But my setup, I've kind of crafted it, so to speak, and it's all borrowed. I don't have much. I mean, that's the beauty of what we do. It's just we all overthink this thing. It's not hard. You just take bits and pieces, and you're going to end up making it your own eventually. But I've kind of made it my own now, and there's a level of certainty when I present my pitch after like a very quick bit of rapport. I'll go right into, let me explain what the process is here. So there's a couple things. First off, I'm independent, which is really good for you. I'm not a captive agent. A captive agent, you may know, has one carrier that they work with, and they have maybe one or two options for you. Well, I've worked really hard to get contracted with a bunch of different carriers. They're all A-rated carriers, and so I've got like any carrier that's worth writing for, and you've heard of many of them, and I'll kind of mention maybe 5 or 6 carriers at that point, and then I'll tell them they're all A-rated carriers, and so that's one side of me. I'm independent. We've kind of shopped all the carriers for you, so you don't have to sit with 5 or 6 different people and try to figure out which is the best way to go. The other thing I do is I field underwrite, which is why I'm here. So I come out and I sit and talk with you about what your needs are, and I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, some questions about your finances, very simple stuff, and some questions about your health. And then based on the answers to the questions I ask you, and it's going to take all of like 5 minutes. This is a pretty quick process, guys. I'm going to find out which carrier I have is going to best suit your needs and your budget. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to lay out some options for you, and then you're going to choose the one that makes the most sense for you, and based on your budget and whatever it is you're looking for. And then we're going to submit an application, because I'm just a field underwriter. I'm not a medical underwriter. Now, the carriers have their own medical underwriting team, and they're going to look at 2 things. They're going to look at your MIB, your Medical Information Bureau, your doctor's records, and they're going to look at your pharmaceuticals. And they're the ones that are going to make the decision. And, it's like a thumbs up or thumbs down. The good news is I got a lot of different carriers, so I'm usually able to find the right carrier for you. But they don't give me the power to give people, life insurance and get them covered. But I do a pretty good job of finding out which carrier I can get you covered with. But that's it. That's the process, guys. It's pretty simple. And I think, Paige, that helps me overcome a lot of the objections of, I want to think about this. And if they say I want to think about this, okay, what's coming up for you? I just ask them a question. It's like, okay, perfect. Yeah, it's no problem. I don't like make it a big deal at all, because we all kind of like to think about things, right? When you buy stuff, especially if you're looking at something that's $150, $200, $250 per month. And I will show them options page for the highest amount that they can qualify for. Because, you're going to get maybe 5 or 10% of people that are going to choose the highest option there, and that's how you right off the bat can increase your premiums in the home, and people are going to really find that valuable. But if they do say something like that, and they know that I've already said I've already done the shopping for you, and so they know that they're not going to look at other carriers, and if they mention, well, I want to check out AARP or whatever it is, it's that's not a big deal. Perfect. And now I know very well about AARP, and I let them know these are all very good companies, but I do this quite a lot. I sit with 30 families a week, and so our prices are. And I would encourage you to after we find out if we can get you covered, I would encourage you to check out the prices for AARP or AAA, because I know that what we have is the best. And the last thing I would want is for you to find something that were better or less expensive and then go out and change this. So I know I'm going to show you the best. there's just that level of certainty, and I let them know. And that's part of building trust because, and I've said this before, but I learned it from someone else. My certainty in the home overcomes their doubt, and that's a huge thing. And that's something I lacked in the very beginning. So just having that posture and that tonality in my voice of a certainty that where I really truly believe I'm the best person suited to get this family covered in the house. And I think that comes across.
Right. No, that's good. That's very good. And I think that helps build trust between you and the client. I mean, they just met you, but it sounds like the way you set it up, Chris, you come across as the professional with all the options they could possibly need or want, and you're there to do what's best for them. And that's what we all want to convey to the clients that we meet with, so that we are able to best help them. So that's awesome. Any last remarks that you'd like to give us, here? I appreciate your time. I know everybody is busy, especially with you heading out of town. But if, any final remarks to close it out for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think it's super important. There are two things that I harp on that I think are really, really important for an agent's success early on, and it's to reach out. And I've been doing this a year and a half, and there's always more to learn in this industry, but I still reach out just about every appointment that I have to either my upline, to Nick Ayala, or to another, agent, or dial the agent hotline to find. And the reason I do that, even if I know what I'm going to show the people, what I feel is the best option for them, I want the people I'm sitting with to know that I'm going to bat for them. And so I let them know, listen, if you see me make a phone call, it's because I want to make sure that I'm getting the best option for you. And that right there helps to build that credibility, helps to build that trust. And if you're new in here, you don't have to let them know you're new. No one's going to really nobody's asked me how long I've been doing this for. Really, it's just a question that doesn't come up. And I think a lot of new agents, they feel like, gosh, they're so new and they may not know what they're doing. But if you just play it off like you already know more than they do because you got your state license. So now it's just a matter of being confident in putting them in the right spot. But you don't have to worry about any of that stuff because you can just make a phone call and ask, and just make sure. And when I call my upline, I say, hey, I'm with Rose here. She's 77. She's diabetic. She got diabetes before the age of 50, and she's taken metformin and then 2 blood pressure medications. But that's it. What do you think? I want to show her an American Eagle Premier. Do you think that would be the best option for her? And then they'll either confirm that or steer you in another direction, and that gives a lot of credibility in the home. So and then the other thing I would say is the amount of hours a new agent studies is directly correlated to their success. And we look at the numbers. And I know Nick did this several months back. He just did put a poll out for how much agents, top producers spend on leads per month, how much time they actually invest in studying, what their average premium in the home is, all that stuff. But the one that really stuck out was the number of hours that they study per month. And it's like 35 hours a month studying. So it's huge. There's so many resources. I would say the best way to learn and get better is to totally immerse yourself instead of listening to the radio, instead of watching TV shows that aren't going to help you provide for your family and put you in a really good place financially and just fulfillment. Just dive into all the trainings that we have, the TNL, the podcast, the videos, the Facebook Lives, and become a student of the game. And that's what I've done, and that's why I've been able to have success, because this didn't certainly come naturally to me. It's just hard work. It's just putting in the time. So
right.
I hope that helps.
Those are great pieces of advice, especially the studying, meaning, tuning into all the different forms of training between calls, podcasts, live Facebook feeds, everything. We have it all. And, you're right. The people who are hungry and seeking that and taking it in, you work your way through the learning curve faster. So that's
way
great
faster.
advice.
And I used to finish off with one last thing. I remember having a conversation with Grayson some months back, and this was when he was fairly new because this is his first year. So I'm talking like April, I believe I was talking to him, and March was his first month where he did like 45,000. In April he did 89,000, and I'm like, man, who's this guy? So I talked to him, and I'm like, hey, I just had this objection in the home. What do you do? And he ripped off like 3 top producers and their rebuttals to that objection. And I'm like, how do you remember all this stuff? And he goes, Chris, I just listened to every single podcast that FFL has ever put out. Like before I even started running appointments, I listened to all that stuff. And he became a sponge. And he doesn't have anything special that you and I have except a desire to learn and get better. And so we all can do that.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's great advice. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to talk a little bit into our team. Please let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Everybody, let's go make it a big week. This last week of October, big push. Let's finish strong and keep working to hit your 90-day goal marks. So thanks, Chris. Everybody make it a great one.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.